There's always enough to talk about when Steve Bone pitches up at the Pompey Sound microphone, but today it seems extra very much the case. So, Steve,
Yes.
welcome, and first of all, your thoughts on Watford.
Yes. Hello. And Watford. Where to start, really? I mean, I think before the game and in the days leading up to the game, if anyone had said, "Would you be happy with a point at Watford after getting 3 at Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday?" I think everybody, not everybody, but most people would have said, "Yes, please. Point would do nicely. That would give us 4 points from 2 games." And that's a decent return. You look at our away form has been patchy, so to get 4 points from 2 away games is great. You then come away with a point. That's exactly what we got, and yet you've got this feeling of 2 points that got away because we go 1-0 up. 17 minutes to go of the 90. Segicic again, great finish. He's proven his worth at the moment, isn't he, in that position? And then the goalie gifts one back to Watford 6 minutes later. And actually at that point I was thinking, this is going to be the sort of game we're going to lose 2-1, but luckily we didn't do that. I think we have tightened up a little bit at the back in these away games. So it's mixed feelings, really, isn't it? As I say, you'd have taken a point beforehand, and we have got a point, and I think generally people were happy with the performance. A lot of endeavour on show, solid at the back, bit of a threat going forward, and yet you're thinking, wouldn't it have been nice to get 3?
What do you make of the Callum Lang controversy?
Well, yeah, I'm glad you've asked about that, because it'd be interesting today to hear John Messino say he doesn't want him to go. He doesn't, he wouldn't want to lose him. We've had this rumour and talk of Preston lodging quite a significant bid for him this week. I don't think that's been absolutely confirmed by either club, as it wouldn't be really until it's resolved one way or the other. But I was surprised, and I did wade in with a few replies on X on Tuesday. I was surprised when the question was asked. Preston have made a bid. Would you as a fan be happy to see him go? I was surprised that the majority of people who replied said yes, and some people said yes. He's never available. He's always injured. One even gave a 2-word. And don't worry, it's not a rude 2-word reply, but one person just said "get rid," and I just couldn't believe it. This is a player who's played 53 games in just under 2 years, scored 16 goals, countless assists, one of our most dangerous players, one of our key players. I know he's not fit at the moment, and he's missed a fair bit of this season. He's missed most of this season, but people are so quick to write players off, aren't they, when they're injured or when they're out of form. I was just surprised at that, and I said no way would I accept a bid for Lang. I mean, if he wanted to go, that would be different, but I don't think there's any evidence that he does. He seems quite happy here, certainly from judging from past interviews he's given. And yet some Pompey fans can't wait to get rid of him. Would they say the same about Josh Murphy because he's missed a few games? They'd probably say the same about Colby Bishop. They'll be saying the same now about Conor Shaughnessy because he's injured again. I just think sometimes you've just got to be patient with your best players and hold on to what you've got.
Yes, we used to call them misery guts when I was a boy, and I noticed that almost all of them make these posts anonymously, or at least they've got silly little catch strap lines, Mingy Wongy Doodah 666, and I don't read them personally. I understand why people do. Mick Robertson has an almost weekly pop at them, and they're getting under his skin because he sees it as doing the club harm.
Yeah, is it doing the club harm? I don't think the club is that bothered. I don't know. I suppose an individual player, if he's reading it, might be quite hurt by it. If he sees that sort of reaction to the prospect of him being sold by a club who he's done well for. If the players have got any sense, they'll stay well off of those sites and not get involved and not read them. I'm on there for work, and I'm on there because I do enjoy some of the Pompey banter that's on there. but sometimes I just get so infuriated by things, and yeah, it's all about opinions, isn't it? And I'm sure those people that said yes, they would accept an offer for Lang, we should cash in. I'm sure they would stand by that if they came on here today and you asked them about it. I'm sure they would. I get that. But I just think people have got short memories. You know, people have forgotten what he did for us during the promotion season and last season. He was a key man in that revival last season when Bishop came back, and him and Murphy and Ritchie then as well, of course, but they were all playing a part in it. And you know, people seem to think it's easy to replace a good player. Well, I'm not sure it is.
Yeah.
And actually, if anything has shown that over the last couple of years, Pompey have shown that.
Yeah.
You know, it is hard to buy players for an affordable price that can come into a championship team and make an impression and do well.
Absolutely.
You know, we've had a few that have tried and failed. We've had a few successes as well. I get that. But you know, you sell Lang, then what? Well, you know, who's going to suddenly come in the door 5 minutes later and be a like for like replacement? I don't see that happening. So yeah, that's my view on Lang. Others will disagree, but I hope he is back in the team soon, back fit soon, and it sounds like he's not far off fitness at all, which is great. And I hope he proves those doubters wrong.
Well, your view is shared by someone else who knows a little bit about football, and that's John Messino. Did you catch the rumour? And it's a very low-profile rumour, but I'll ask you about it. You're forgiven if it hasn't got onto your radar. That Leicester are showing some interest in Josh Murphy.
I hadn't heard that again. No, they did last time, didn't they? Was it in the summer, or was it even last January? I think it was in the summer. They apparently showed interest, didn't they? I wonder if that is just a recycled rumour, and it's people putting two and two together and thinking that because Leicester wanted him last summer, maybe they still want him, and maybe they do. I don't think Pompey are in a hurry to sell him or Lang, even if they thought it would, you know, selling a player of that type would fund other signings. I think you've got to. I hope that's not the outlook, because I think that's hard. I think you've got to. The first thing you do is you keep hold of your best players, and then you look at how to improve what's around them. Murphy, I think the fact that Murphy has missed a fair bit of the last month or so probably works in our favour, in that is a team like Leicester who want people to go in there and make an immediate impact. You know, are they going to want to shell out decent amount of money for a player would take a little while to get up to fitness and sharpness? Not sure they would really. It might be more of a summer move for somebody, but we know how important Murphy is to us. You know, him and Lang I would give equal importance to really in that squad. You know, if we can get them both back in, if you can have Murphy, Lang and Segicic or Chaplin as your three behind Bishop or whoever is the striker over the rest of the season, then I think we've got a great chance of doing well.
We're gagging to get your thoughts about Southampton, and I'm just going to say Southampton to you and kick off my shoes and put my feet up on the desk and have a good old listen. But I want to pick your brains about a trivia thing. From the early February, all EFL matches are going to be starting late.
Are they?
1 minute late.
Right.
In aid of supporting awareness of being able to give CPR.
Right.
Which only takes a minute, but can save a life.
Okay. I hadn't heard about that. That's a fair cause to support and to promote, because we've seen, you know, sadly we've seen incidents at football grounds, haven't we?
Exactly.
We've seen it ourselves,
exactly
and it's
right.
happened elsewhere. It's happened at Charlton at end of last year, and it happened at Fratton Park at the start of last year, and it's happened at other grounds as well. And not so long ago there was the poor Luton player, wasn't there, that needed CPR collapsed during a game at Bournemouth. So very good cause and very important cause to promote. I do wonder sometimes about these sort of, it feels a little bit gimmicky, doesn't it? Having matches kicking off a minute late. Are people really going to, do people need that sort of gimmick to get them to concentrate on the issue? Maybe they do in this modern world. Maybe you need something like that to focus people's minds. Don't know. you can't knock the efforts. I mean, it does feel like the Football League and the FA have done a fair bit themselves to promote this, the need for people to know what to do and how to use equipment in that sort of emergency. So fair play to them for that. Yeah, if they think that all games kicking off a minute late is going to help, then fair enough.
Yeah.
There was for a different cause. There was a thing in the National League a couple of months ago where all National League games kicked off at 3 minutes past 3
Right.
to support a National League campaign which was aiming to get which was saying that 3 clubs from the National League should be promoted each year rather than 2 into League 2.
Right.
So a similar sort of idea, really. They put attaching a number to it, and then you're doing something to the fixtures to make people think, why is this game kicking off at 3? They have to then find out about it. So some of those sort of gimmicks are more effective than others, I suppose. But
Thank you. I think you've got that one covered. Well done. I think it's what John Massino calls an oxymoron. It's both trivial and yet it's extremely important. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. So here we go then. Southampton.
Yeah, we're playing them soon. I can't remember when's that game coming up. Yes, looking forward to it. It's massive, isn't it? Really, it's just wherever we were in the table going into this weekend. If we were 12th and 8 points ahead of the relegation zone and 8 points off the playoffs, and Southampton were 9th and not much better off than us, or vice versa, even then it would be a big game, and it would be a game that every Pompey fan absolutely just wants us to win. Doesn't matter how we win it, really. It'd be nice if we demolish them 4-1, as we have done a few times in the past. In this part of the in this, what I'm trying to say, in the past 20 years or so. But if we win 1-0 with a late own goal, I think people will be just as happy to see that. If it's a draw, what are we going to be thinking if it's a draw? I don't think we'll be too downcast, but I think we'll be a bit disappointed, and we'll see it as a missed chance, because at their place we did well to get a draw, and I think they were the more disappointed team with that result there. We could have won it there, but we went there as second favourites, and we did well, and we got the 0-0. Yeah, long time since we played them at home in the league. 2011, December 2011, I think was the last time. Joel Ward scored the goal, 1-1 draw. That season ended in us going down and them going up, although we did manage to delay their promotion with David Norris's famous goal at St Mary's. Yeah, it's just massive. It's one of those days when the league table doesn't really come into it. You don't really need to look at the league table on your way to the game and on your way after the game. You just want to win. You just want to beat the neighbours and beat the rivals. And it should be a great occasion. I think it'll be a cracking atmosphere. We'll be making all the noise. They'll come and attempt to make a noise and probably won't do it very effectively, as we've seen at Fratton Park before from them. And very much looking forward to it.
Yes, security is in place.
Yes, it's going to be, as it was for the game at St Mary's in September, it's going to be very, very well policed and stewarded. Possibly, you might say, a bit over policed and stewarded. I sometimes think a little bit too much goes into it. There's too many restrictions on, it goes for the away fans as well as the home fans. But I suppose that the authorities' response to that would be, well, there's been trouble in the past. There's been trouble at grounds in the past, when these two have played. There's been trouble away from the grounds in the past. Been trouble on the way to and from the games with some sections of fans. So we've got to cover all bases, cover all avenues, and that's what's happening. All the Southampton fans will be on coaches coming in, getting an escort in.
45 of them.
How many? Sorry.
45.
Is there?
So I read.
I don't know how they're going to get into the city because the Eastern Road is closed, so that's going to be interesting. Well, they presumably won't have to sit in the traffic jams with all the Pompey fans going to the game. There must be some sort of plan to get them in and then get them out again. That would be interesting. I wouldn't like to be the person in charge of that.
Well, the person in charge of that is called Chief Superintendent Dobbs of Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary.
Right.
And he's still got a bee in his bonnet about the fact that last time somebody punched one of his police horses.
Yeah, I think I'd be upset if somebody had punched one of my horses.
Well, I don't want to make light of it, but it's probably somebody who's been watching Blazing Saddles too often.
Yeah, it's funny that is the one incident from the trouble that happened last time that people remember, isn't it? Yeah.
But he made a really interesting observation, this police officer, and I really want to get your thoughts on it. He said last night, I think, let's hope that there are some goals so that the game becomes a spectacle, because then there's less likely to be trouble. That's what he said. What do you make of that?
That's interesting, isn't it? That's an interesting view. I would have thought there's less likely to be trouble if it's a draw, whether that's 0-0 or 3-3. Whereas if Pompey lose, you can see the potential for some people getting a bit worked up about that and going looking for trouble. Or if Southampton were to get hammered, I mean, it'll be harder for their fans to make trouble because they will be so sort of encircled and self-contained, won't they? Whereas there's probably more potential for Pompey fans to go, a minority of Pompey fans to go looking for a bit of trouble, because they'll be allowed to leave the stadium, not wherever they want, because there are some road closures and footpath closures, but they'll be dispersing in all areas, won't they? But then there won't be any Southampton fans free and around for them to get at. So yeah, I would have thought if it's pouring with rain and finishes 0-0, that probably suits the police more than anything. It's if there's flashpoints in the game and red cards and punch-ups and things in the game that the police will be concerned, because that can then lead to trouble off the pitch as well, can't it? But no, as I say, it is now this fixture, more than any other of our fixtures, and probably more than any other English football fixture almost. It is so controlled in terms of who can go to it and how they can get there and how they can get away again. There'll be some police horses there, hopefully not getting punched. There'll be CCTV everywhere, so anyone who steps out of line, you would think will be pounced upon. But just hope it's a good game. I hope Pompey. I'm sure that Pompey know that all those Pompey players, they know what it means to Pompey's fans. The manager certainly does. The atmosphere will be cranked up a few notches from even some of the. I mean, I thought the atmosphere at the Arsenal game was good, but this will be on a different level again. I would think. The fact that it's at 12 o'clock, it's a little bit earlier than you would like. Rather it was a 3 o'clock on a Saturday, probably, wouldn't you? But I understand why it's not. I think it'll be a terrific atmosphere. Pompey will need to make a fast start. I've seen a few people taking bets on whether Terry Devlin or Ibu Adams will be first to be booked. And you without condoning anything, you wouldn't mind an early yellow card to us, would you? As long as it's not then somebody who has to watch themselves for the rest of the game.
No.
There'll be a bit of that going on. I think there'll be tackles flying in from both sides. And apart from anything else, it's a game we need to win. We're still in that position now. Looking at the table, we're 1 point above the relegation zone. We've got 3 home games coming up in a row. We've got Southampton, West Brom, Ipswich, all before we play our next away game. If we can start that little run by beating Southampton, everybody's on an absolute high, which could then help you going into those next 2 home games as well.
Okay, and sort of breaking news, I'm just looking at the screen, and Marlon Pack is fit and ready to rock.
Yes, good. And you kind of think, well, would he come back in? How would he come back into the team that has done well at Watford and has done well at Sheffield Wednesday? Dazal and Adams were the midfield 2 last night, weren't they, at Watford? Is Pack realistically going to replace one of those 2 probably not. But is Pack the type of player you would want playing in this fixture? I think he is, in a way. So I kind of think you find a place for him. Not suggesting that he's going to bring back the Marlon at centre half experiment, although we're not overdone with centre half, so he could do. People would have mixed feelings about that, although it's worth remembering that when Pack played at centre half in a lot of those home games last season, we did quite well. We didn't lose many of them, so that wouldn't be the worst thing. I would imagine he'll stick with Poole and Ogilvie as the two centre halves, those two having done well last night. But you'd want Pack on the bench, and if Pompey need sort of a bit of calming down during that game, which they may do, or a bit of someone to just put their foot on the ball and just be sensible about things second half, Pack could be the man to come on and do that. Maybe the manager sees him as somebody to bring on for the second half if we're one up, and we just need to have hold what we have and control things a bit. I'm sure he'll be, if he's fit, he's going to be in the 20, isn't he? That's for sure. He'll want to be playing from the start, but I'm not sure how he gets into that starting 11.
And Farrell got 10 minutes against Watford, 20 if you count the time added on, and he did not look out of place.
No, I didn't see it, but so I've heard. That's another good option to have back in the squad, isn't it? Especially if Ogilvie is going to be seen as the centre half replacement for Shaughnessy. Well,
good thinking. Good thinking.
It might be that if Messino, as much as Zach Swanson has done okay over that side, Messino might have seen enough from Farrell. Now he's back up to fitness and seen what he can do on the training field. It gives you a bit more balance having a left footer over that side, doesn't it? So maybe he's thinking that if he's going to use Ogilvie in the centre, Farrell could get the nod on the left. Be a bit harsh on Swanson, I think, to be dropped if that was the case. I don't think he'll bring Farrell in to start on Sunday. I think that would be too big a call. I think he's more likely to stick with the back four he had last night: Swanson, Ogilvie, Poole, Devlin. You got Williams there as a spare one as well. He came on for Swanson at half time. But no, I mean, you just hope that Farrell can stay fit, just get a run of games at some point and show us what he can do, because he looked, the brief time we saw him last season, he looked okay, didn't he? He looked good, and we were quite excited about it, and we were thinking, he's going to be pushing Ogilvie for a start, and of course it didn't happen at all for him. So yeah, best of luck to him.
And the new arrivals, we've had a good look now at Ali, and a lot of people are quite excited about him, and an awful lot more people are seriously excited about Adams, who is the original brick outhouse, isn't he? And and now we've got to think about, is it Keshi Anderson?
Keshi Anderson. Yes,
thank you.
That's right. Yeah, 3 good additions by the look of it. Without sort of judging them too early. Ali, I heard mixed views when we signed Ali. There was the usual few people saying, he's a League One player, he's a Luton player, why do we want him? But actually he's looked good. He directly set up the goal at Sheffield Wednesday, didn't he? And he was involved last night in winning the ball back and then setting up Chaplin, who in turn played it to Segicic for the goal at Watford. I think he's one of these who, when he gets a chance to cross, will either put it on a plate for someone, or it'll go into Rose Ed. I'm not sure there's any sort of middle ground. He can be a bit wayward, I think, with his final ball, but that's okay. If some of those crosses from him do get put on a plate for someone, you can live with that. Adams, I think, impressed. I think people have heard quite a bit about what Adams is all about. And they've seen him do it for Derby against us on occasions as well, and he looks to add a bit of bite into the midfield. I saw a quote from him. It actually said, "I do bite." I don't think he means literally, but he's a bite your legs type character in the midfield there, isn't he? That we probably haven't got. We've got Dazal and we've got Pack. We've got people who can get stuck in and tackle, but you probably haven't got anyone quite at the same level as Adams to do that. Pompey fans love a midfield player like that, always have done and always will do. So I think he's going to be popular, and that's why people are immediately saying, yeah, get him in against Southampton. He'll revel in it. So that's a promising signing, and probably important to add that sort of player, given that we've lost Koznovsky, who had started to look good in the central midfield. Anderson, must admit, I've not seen a lot of him. I've heard Birmingham when they came up from League One and won the title. We'll have to see, won't we? It won't be too long before we see him. He could be probably going to be on the bench on Sunday, I would have thought. So that could be everyone in that 20 on Sunday has got a chance to write themselves into Pompey history, haven't they? And the new boys will be thinking that as much as the established boys. But no, so 3 signings so far. I think everybody thinks we need would probably hope for another 2 or 3 before the window closes in about a week and a half. You'd still want another central defender, wouldn't you? You'd still want another striker to just help Colby out, who's working so hard but just not getting the breaks with the goal scoring. And you wouldn't say no to another 1 or 2 around the edges as well.
We've signed up with a football data collection company in Switzerland.
Right.
And my goodness me, you get far too much data. It's just impossible to take it all in.
Yeah.
Their latest piece of research is they've sifted through 65 leagues, football leagues.
Yeah.
And they've identified the under 22 players who have outplayed the over 22 players in that team.
Right.
For whatever reason.
Okay.
What they've attached to it is the notion that some of these players have yet to be picked up and transferred to serious clubs.
Right. Okay.
So I thought, okay, this is interesting. I'll have a little look through it, and I'll come up maybe with some names, and I'll send an email to Rich Hughes.
Yeah.
But there was too much data, which I couldn't get my head around. And I like to think, as everyone does, I'm reasonably intelligent.
Yeah.
So what I'm leading up to is, how do you think that Rich Hughes and the recruitment team, what do you think their basic modus operandi is, if there is one?
I think they wait for emails from people like you saying, "Go and have a look at this player." No, I don't think that at all. I don't know, because there is so much, as you say. There's what there is now that there didn't used to be is the data. You can, every player playing at a decent level has every minute of their game tracked, so it is possible to find out how many yards they ran, how many passes they completed, and so on and so forth. And then how many players is that being done for? Thousands, because it's not just players here. Even if it was just players in England that you had to cast your net to look at, that would be quite a task, wouldn't it? But it's not just here. It's Scotland, Wales, Ireland. It's all the decent leagues in Europe. It's Australia in our case, as we know. We've had a good look there. There must be American and Asian equivalents as well, where there are players that could be useful to you, could be valuable to you, that you need to keep tabs on. I can't get my head around it. I don't know where you start. You can't possibly, how many staff would you need in a scouting department to have a proper, extensive coverage of all eventualities? You just couldn't do it, could you?
No.
So I suppose you have to sort of spread yourselves as widely as you can with the resources you've got. And I think that department is quite well resourced, from what I can tell. It's not just Richard, is it? He's got his team below him. But as you say, there's too much out there, and if you're not careful, you end up with you could spend a week studying the stuff from that website that you've discovered, and you could come up with a list of 150 potential good signings.
Yeah.
But that's not a lot of good to anybody, is it? Because if you've only got a week to decide who you're going to sign, how do you look at all 150 and make a judgment? You somehow need to filter it down, I suppose. But I'll if I'm speaking to Richard Hughes, I'll tell him that you're volunteering to do all the legwork there on those 65 leagues, and you'll come up with the 3 players that will make a difference to Pompey by the end of next week.
That ain't going to happen. What is going to happen is that you're going to give us a very precise prediction, and this you're on thin ice, my something or other son from Two Smoking Barrels, whatever it was. You are on thin ice, my pedigree chum. So good luck.
Why am I on why am I on thin ice?
Well, for one thing, because I'm going to have a
one
fight
right last week.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Your expectation now has risen enormously.
You're hanging on my every word.
I've got Betfair on my phone. I'm going to do it. Whatever you say, I'm going to do it.
Yes, can I just say, for the listener who might have forgotten, I did say 1-0 win at Sheffield Wednesday, but it wouldn't be very convincing. I did say a 2-1 defeat at Watford, and I was worried that was going to be right for.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go 1-0 again. I'm going for another tight 1-0, edgy, scrappy game. And I'm going to go for Colby Bishop to get the winner. What a scene and what a story that would be.
I'm struggling to get the correct score prices from Betfair. I don't think they've done them yet.
They won't give a lot on 1-0 Pompey. I wouldn't
1-0
think. Although
Pompey.
you're not going to
Okay.
make a fortune out of it.
Right, I'll write it down. Pompey 1-0. Steve B.
I think I've seen 10 Pompey Southampton competitive games.
Right.
I've seen great wins. I've seen terrible defeats. I've seen a few draws. One that sticks in the memory, not necessarily the best one, but one that sticks in the memory is 2003-04. A bit later in the season, it was March. We still needed to win a few games to make sure we stayed up. Mm-hmm. Home to Southampton. It was before the Milton End had a roof. There was a hailstorm before kick-off, and all the Southampton fans got hailstones battering them, which was very funny. And Yakubu scored the winner in front of the Fratton End, swept one in from about 5 yards. Steve Stone's cross, I think, second half. So
Steve Stone.
Let's have Colby sweeping in across from surprise substitute Callum Lang in the second half. How's that?
Now you are out on a limb, aren't you?
I'm getting carried away now.
You are.
Because you said I know what I'm talking about.
We're off to see the wizard here. Brilliant. Okay, Steve, as ever, thank you so much for everything. Fingers crossed for Sunday, and
everything crossed.
Talk soon.
Look forward to it.